Hey, it's Benji Cole, son of Al Cole from CBS Radio and host of People of Distinction, the talk that gives an in-depth view of some of the most dynamic, intelligent, and successful people on the planet. Run to our website, peopleofdistinction.org for more info, or you can always email me directly at benji@alcoleenterprises.com. And on the line with us today, we have Vincent J. Tomeo. We're going to be discussing his amazing poetry book, The Usefulness of Hippopotamus, a humorous chapbook for trying times. Now, it's available for purchase through Amazon as well as barnesandnoble.com. And in addition to this fantastic book, you're going to want to check out his other book that he's written called My Cemetery Friends, both of which, again, are available for purchase through Amazon as well as barnesandnoble.com. But also check out Vincent's blog, vincentjtomeo.com, to gather everything that he has in store. And before we go any further, I want to take this opportunity and point out that Vince was brought to our network, People of Distinction, today by one of the best advertising firms in the business, and I'm talking about Lion Leaf Publishing. So listen to me. For my writers out there, you have invested so much time creating your masterpiece, and now you want to invest into a publishing company that's truly going to help maximize your creative endeavors. Well, look no further, because Lion Leaf Publishing is the company you want to side with. Head on over to lionleafpublishing.com today and gather all of the ways that they're going to help you do just that. And listen, it is an absolute pleasure to have Vincent here on the line. Now, the moment you start to do research on his book, you're going to understand the conversation we're getting ready to have. Now, I've already told you, it's a poetry book. And right there in the subtitle, you see a humorous chapbook for trying times. Well, people, this book is utilizing humor to overcome difficult obstacles that we all face. Listen, when you get to a certain age, when you get to a certain point in life, you understand obstacles are just the name of the game. Adversity is something we all encounter, of course, in varying degrees, but there's no avoiding it. Well, of course, understanding that there are always silver linings, there are things to learn and things to be gained. But one key factor to helping you overcome some of those difficult times is adding humor to it, right? Adding some levity to a very heavy situation is key and a great, great resource to be utilized. Well, this book has what you need, people, because this was something that Vincent utilized himself to get over some of his tough times. And he had enough wherewithal to understand that this was going to be beneficial to the public at large. So this is what we have for you here today. We're only going to scratch the surface, but I promise you by the time we've concluded, you're going to run to Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and purchase your copies, because you're going to realize how valuable of a resource this book truly is. And at the end of the day, don't take my word for it, take Vince's. It's his book, he's written it, it's his life, he's pulling experiences from, and he's going to be able to articulate it all much better than I ever could. So sit back and strap in. Vincent, first and foremost, welcome to People of Distinction, and thank you very much for being a guest. How are you doing today, sir?
Very well, sir. I woke up.
Well, that's always a good way to start, right?
Yes.
Vince, thank you very much for being here, man. Listen, we're looking forward to this. I think what you've embarked upon here is special for so many reasons. But how useful it can be is probably at the top of the list. So thank you very much for writing your book. Thank you very much for being a guest with us to discuss it. Before we jump into the book itself, start by telling our listening audience a little bit more about your background, please.
Okay. I was a teacher for almost 38 years. I taught both history and English as a second language. I have, it gave me purpose, and I absolutely love teaching. So that's me, and teaching is, it's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And so it gave me purpose, and I don't regret 1 minute of my experience teaching. So that's who I am. I am a poet and a writer. I have over 1,145 pieces of literature published in magazines, newspapers, all over the place. One of these days, I'll probably sit down and put them all together in one big anthology. But not right now.
Mm-hmm.
What else can I say about myself? I love to travel. I love people, nice people. I am so happy and thankful that I'm still alive. That cancer changes everything, and when you have cancer, you begin to look at the world a little differently.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I had that opportunity to rethink my life, and I'm enjoying myself. And I wanted to share my struggle because everyone goes through a challenge,
Mm-hmm.
and I thought if I could help someone else during their challenging times. To overcome, or at least deal with how we choose to deal with that situation, makes all the difference in the world. And I chose humor. I chose positive thinking. I have a great friend, and Flo Levine. She really is into positive thinking, and she's been my mentor in that sense. So I'm very positive person. I don't like negativity, and I don't let people, mean people, or negative people rent space in my head. So I chose to write about humor to help people overcome their challenges in their life, because we all have challenges. I feel that humor is a good form of medicine. I'm going to read one poem, if I might, which is timely, and I think everyone could relate to this. Of course, sometimes my poetry has a little bit of a twist. And this is called Charging a Cell Phone. My son visited me in the hospital. The whole time he was on his cell phone. I was on life support, struggling to breathe, survive. His phone was losing its charge. So he pulled the plug to charge his cell phone. Tomorrow there will be a virtual funeral. We live in an era where everybody's on their phone, and everywhere you look, you'll see people on their phone.
Yeah.
And it is both a blessing and a curse, but it's something we can no longer live without. Was it 10 years, 15 years since the cell phone? But we never thought that it would be such an essential part of our life, and we can't do without it. Mm-hmm. So it's like anything, you can't live with it, and you can't live without it.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm right there with you. I mean, it's a very precarious position that we find ourselves in now, because with the irony behind it is these cell phones and a lot of different pieces of technology offer ways for us to connect to one another, yet at the same time, we've never been more disconnected, right? So there's a lot of irony with that, but I love the poem. Thank you very much for choosing it and starting there, because it gives us a great snapshot into what to expect. Now, my next question that I'd love to go into, Vincent, talk to us about inspiration. We know why you felt compelled to put these poems out for the world, in the sense of being and utilizing humor to help overcome difficult times. So we got that. But when it comes to inspiration, your title says the usefulness of hippopotamus. Well, that came out of left field when we're talking about a hippopotamus. I mean, what inspired you to write that, and where does that come from?
Well, I sat down. I'm looking at a piece of paper, blank piece of paper, but I'm thinking of something that would make me laugh. And I thought of Fantasia, Walt Disney's Fantasia, with the dancing hippos in the tutu and the ballerina shoes, and I start laughing. It was very funny to me, and so I wrote a poem. The Usefulness of Hippopotamus. And I should probably read that poem because that launched 1,000 ships.
Yes, please.
If you want. The Usefulness of Hippopotamus. Blubber in water, who hears with its petite feet. Funny little stubs. 4 legs, 4 feet. A commanding pompous size roaming the river. Its tiny, humorous ears wave and flutter. A wonder it hears at all as it waddles, wiggles in mud, dunking while taking in the sun to catch a million rays. It becomes a dining room table for birds and other living things. Here it comes out of the water to graze, eating the grass, dropping its dung for other beasts to munch. This is lunch. Paving a route, creating streams, roads for other animals to navigate their way. I'm going to read a poem. Things my mother would say as I got older. You should always make sure your underwear is clean. You never know if you must go to the hospital. Did you meet someone yet? Are you dating? Are you eating enough? Why don't you talk to me? Nothing to say? Why don't you get along with your brothers? When the fuller brush man comes, do not answer the door. We do not have any money. When I am gone, you will be sorry. Are you dating? When will I have grandchildren? When I die, make sure I am buried with my slippers on. My feet are always cold. Did you eat? Do not tell your uncle you did not eat. Do not tell your uncle we have no money. Is everything okay? Will I see you married? Ma, please.
I think my listening audience can all relate. We hear our mothers speaking into our ears right now. When you say that, some of the questions that are coming up, I mean, that's definitely something or a lot of what my mother would say. Did you eat? You know, why don't you call me? We get all of that. This is fantastic. Vincent, thank you very much for sharing. Curiosity here for myself. What would you say was a highlight for you in writing this book? Or if not a highlight, something that maybe surprised you that you weren't anticipating?
That I wrote the book. Because that was not my plan. I just was laughing about Fantasia, and I wrote a poem about the hippopotamus, and then it evolved into a book.
Yeah.
I just thought, I took everyday objects and things that we could all relate to and wrote about it, wrote poems about them. Like my mother, I mean, you know.
Absolutely.
Things.
You know, people, listen, this is not the only book that Vincent has written. As I mentioned to you before, he has another book called My Cemetery Friends. Vincent, as we start to close out of this wonderful interview, I want to give you an opportunity to quickly go into an elaboration with that one. Talk to us about My Cemetery Friends and what to expect with that book when we pick it up.
All right. My Cemetery Friends is a celebration of life. It honors several vets who were killed in Vietnam, who I knew from my neighborhood. So I wanted to honor them in one way. So it's dedicated to them. But it's a celebration of life because I go to this cemetery. It's where I go walking. I live in Flushing, which is a very heavily populated area. But I find peace and solace walking in the cemetery, especially during the pandemic when I was able to take my mask off and just walk. The birds, the flowers, the landscape, it's just lovely. The cemetery is a wonderful place. And I'm not worried about the dead because they're not going to kill me. So I go walking there, and I've met people, in the cemetery, and they became friends. And so it really is a celebration of life, and I would like you to walk with me through the garden as I tell you stories of the people that I met along the way. And it's just a reflection on, and it also is a positive and happy book. Although there's one poem which opens the book and it's called "Over the Fence," and this is true. My mother's buried in this cemetery, so I walk there. And one holiday, Christmas or some holiday, the fence was closed. So all the snow was in the yard, in the cemetery, and it looked lovely. So this is the poem: Over the fence, Mama. Every day for 5 years, I visited your grave. One Christmas day, I was late. The cemetery gates were locked. Climbed the bronze fence, left my tracks in the snow.
Vincent, thank you very much for sharing all of these poems with us today. And people, please believe it, we've only scratched the surface. There is still so much left on those pages that you have to get involved in. Last question here for you, Vincent, as we close out, but we have discussed so much information here so far today. Is there anything we haven't yet touched up on that you really want to make sure our listening audience can take away?
I would like our listening audience to confront their challenges with a bit of humor.
Yeah.
Because humor is a good form of medicine. And my book could help you in that regard, the usefulness of hippopotamus. So yes, I want to see people deal with their challenges in the best way that they can, and humor can really help. That's all I could say. Mm-hmm. It helped me, and I think it'll help them.
Love that. People, listen, we have done a 360 because now we're back where we started. The emphasis behind this book is one of humor dismantling our obstacles. Now, please understand that, listen, we're oversimplifying because for the sake of an interview, an oversimplification is what's needed. But it's that old adage, people, laughter is the best medicine. It is proven to actually be beneficial for your health. Just smiling, laughing is so key. It starts with this magnificent book, The Usefulness of Hippopotamus. But check out his other book, My Cemetery Friends, as well, both of which are available for purchase through Amazon as well as BarnesandNoble.com. Also, look into his blog, VincentJTomio.com. This is magnificent, man. I mean, truly something you want to get involved with here. Of course, you have Vincent to thank for all of it. Vincent, this has been a wonderful delight, man. A true pleasure. Thank you once again for being a guest on People of Distinction.
I thank the audience, and I thank you. Thank you.